And welcome to the second of these five T20 internationals between Zimbabwe 11 and South Africa A. South Africa A won the toss and elected to bat. And they're already 13 for none.
Fiery start. Morning, afternoon, Darlington. Always, usually cricket in the morning, so it's always one of those you wake up early for and watch the cricket.
I'll tell you what, I actually quite like the timetables that these T20s keep. I was never really a morning person myself, so I really like these late starts. But it's been a really interesting start so far. Particular Lesibe Ngwepe has hit the first Wellington Masakadza over for 3 boundaries.
Yeah, beautiful shots that were played there. South Africa showing their intent. Outside the previous wisdom that we talked about in the last match, where teams tend to want to chase in order to win, what's happened in this instance is South Africa have decided they're going to defend the total.
I think they've also taken the position that we want to try and set a really big score here. And we might actually see scores probably north of 180 if South Africa get their way. Because that's usually what you're looking for when you bat first, is to get something really, really big. And at the end of the second over, 14 for none. Been a couple of changes in the team for Zimbabwe A and for Zimbabwe 11 and for South Africa. We see that Tino Mtombodzi has replaced Milton Shumba, and for the South Africans, we've seen Darren Dupavilon has made way for a little bit more complicated, because the full South African side is Reza Hendricks and Kaya Zondo, Heinrich Clausen is captain, Jason Smith, Tristan Stubbs, Bjorn Fortuin, Lazard Williams, Gerard Coetzee, Vian Luba, Glenton Stuurman, and Lesibe Ngwepe. Really aggressive immediately from Reza Hendricks. First time Tanaka Chionga has pitched up and he's gone over the top. That to me suggests a very good batting surface. Didn't quite get his hold of it as he would have liked, I don't think. But there was solid enough contact to get it to the boundary.
So just looking at the listing for the other match, it looks like South Africa A have not actually changed their team for today. Going with the same team. Looking at the reason probably to bat first, maybe to try to get as many other batters to have a go as well. Chasing down a low score might mean that some of their batters don't have a go. If they were confident that they might skittle Zimbabwe for something moderate again today.
Maybe. And also, it's we know that while you do try and win every single game on an A-side tour, and that is an incredible cricket shot from Reza Hendricks. He's gone over extra cover, and he's gone a long way, all the way for 6. This is already a very expensive start for the Zimbabwe 11. Tanaka Chionga now has gone for 11, and there's still 2 balls to go in this over. And we saw before him, Wellington Masakadza went for 12. And it's a partnership is already 25.
And 20, if you have got a partnership of like 25 off just 20 balls, or rather 16, I beg your pardon, you're really looking at having a go here, aren't you?
And what I've been most impressed by is these have been really high quality cricket shots from both these batters.
Absolutely.
That's 2 over the top. He's picked the length really, really well and kept going through the line. And then we were having a conversation with Tinashe Chimbambo about how Lesabe Ngwepe played, actually defended the first ball of that first over, and then proceeded to manufacture, I would say, 3 boundaries. And I think it's just a really intelligent way of playing. And I have to agree with Tinashe Chimbambo on that. Really intelligent, because what it does is just having a look at those that first one allows you to really set up to attack a bowler. So at the end of the third, 9 and over, South Africa out, and 27 for none. And then a slash at a wide one. Tendai Chatara bowling his second one. First over was quite good. Just the 2 from it. And, we're just trying to sit out to see that extra experience. Being around really, really wily, crafty operator is Tendai Chatara. And what he's done is how good his lengths have been for me. And then he's just been able to get a little bit of movement from this wicket, which I think is probably a really good batting wicket. He's just got enough movement, and then he's bowled in very good areas.
So an interesting stat about Tendai Chatara and for his international exploits is that he is just 1 wicket away from equaling Graham Creamer, the former Zimbabwe captain, is the highest wicket taker. He's currently on 34 wickets, and of course Graham Creamer retired now from Zimbabwe cricket. He's on 35 wickets. What's impressive as well is his stats for being the fastest to get to a 1-day wicket. So he has that wicket taking ability. Probably would have gotten there faster if it wasn't for his injury a couple of years ago.
Really, Zimbabwe cricket well. Tendai Chatara in all 3 formats. Another really beautiful shot from Reza Hendricks. He's now striking at 200. 3 fours and that really special 6 over extra cover of Tanaka Chiwanga. And now Tendai Chatara's figures starting to look quite normal. Started really well first over, and he's already gone for 11. This is second. Actually, no, this little game we play, the game of start of every day we do commentary together, and I just ask him, what's your guesstimate? And his this morning was 170 odd. And Zimbabwe would do very, very well to get restrict South Africa to 175-ish from here. And somebody's got it quite interesting here. Otherwise, if it continues like this, looking a long way past 200.
Yeah, with the way Lesiba is going, I think he's going attack mode, and it's all helter-skelter here from Lesiba Ngoepe, and if he keeps on middling them the way he has up to this point, we're looking way past that 170, and I'll be way off Darlington.
But to be fair, you've been surprisingly accurate throughout this competition, and then a really beautiful shot from Reza Hendricks over long on. Been quite quiet for a little bit, but then he's picked that one so well. But you've been surprisingly accurate throughout the series. I think you've gotten within 10 runs 2 or 3 times in this, 2 or twice in the 1 day and 50 overs matches.
What do you mean surprisingly?
I think prediction is a very difficult thing to get right consistently. If you're working at around about 50%, you're almost an oracle. But you've been quite close. And today,
Today I'm way off.
well, I think how this game has worked out has surprised a lot of us.
And that is a beautiful shot. We have seen all power from Reza Hendricks this morning, but that is just way too clever for the Zimbabwean bowlers. Raza is providing a little bit of width and pace to work with, and he dissects those 2 fielders behind that point region beautifully. Gets another boundary. $129 partnership here, but still a lot of firepower in that South African dugout. Henry Klaasen, Jan Luba, we saw how good he is. And this time around, very good fielding from Tendai Chetara. He's managing to use that dive and get to that one. Keeps it to 1. After 12 overs, South Africa A have raced on to 130 for no loss.
Ernest Masuku is back into the attack from the golf course end. It looks like it might be all the way to the boundary. Another beautiful shot from Reza Hendricks. Sometimes he just doesn't look like he's going to clear the fence, does he?
Yeah, that is quite easy on the eye. It didn't look like he was looking to go all the way for 6 there, but the timing and the strength of the man is very talented as well, and has managed to just heave that over the square leg boundary. Wesley was in the game for a little bit, but just became a spectator.
My first thing was to say, this might be a chance. He's cleared that boundary over backward square leg by about 15-20 meters. And then he's done it again. Almost exactly the same shot.
consistent. Reza Hendricks have executed his shots here have been a major pain for Zimbabwe because he hasn't played any force shot, and anything that he has tried to actually do he has gone on to be very successful. And Enes Masoko, after just 2.2 overs, has conceded 42 runs, an economy of 18. He hasn't done himself many favors, has he, Darlington?
Hasn't really found the quite right length with either of these two batters. The partnership is just 8 short of 150. And then that should be the wicket. And it is. And Wellington Masakadza finishes up. Ernest Masuku finally gets a breakthrough for the Zimbabwe 11. And Reza Hendricks departs for 77 from 34. And South Africa, right? 142 for 1. Well, Vian Luba is the new batsman in. Played some really attractive cricket shots in the first T20. Didn't get many, but there were a couple of boundaries he hit. It were of some decent looking deliveries. Somehow he managed to get one over extra cover for 6. And then another one down the ground for a boundary. The first 2 balls he faced. And that's the inside edge, and Gwepe gets called quickly through by Luba. And this partnership is underway.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the one-day series, South Africa A, and I follow a couple of guys who are in sports media and cricket media, to be specific, and they were quite not impressed by the idea of Vian Luba batting number 7. I think he's quite talented for them, and they think that his position, especially in the one-day format, is up the order. But he got a chance in the first game, and he was really promising. He played some really beautiful shots. I'm hoping that he'll be able to take his chance today.
And there's still quite a lot of time in this game. It'll be 7 overs after this one, which is about 42 balls to be bowled in total at the South Africans. And if he faces about half of those, which is about 21, is just enough time for him to get himself a really good score here.
A 145 for 1 after 13.
Wesley Madavere into the act. Starts off with a wide, and then just a single.
Very steady start from Wesley Madavere. We've seen how much he has tried to limit the amount of flight, generally bowling it straight into the wicket, trying to keep most of his deliveries straight down that off-stump line, not giving the two left-handers any sort of room to sort of stretch their hands.
It's a really good start. And that could be a wicket, just falling short. Tino Mtombodzi had long off. Yes, he's done well. Only blemish on this over was the wide of the first delivery he bowled. But apart from that, he's just gone for 4 singles. There's another wide again. And that's a straight hit from Ngwepe. Just one bounce into the boundary. 155 for 1 after 14. That's a straight hit from Vian Luba. So he greets Captain Skandaraza as he starts by dancing down the wicket and smashing him straight.
This is a wonderful shot, Darlington. A brilliant use of the feet, and there wasn't much to work with, but that little bit of fault in that particular delivery, Vian Luba was able to find and pummels it down the ground. It's a tough start for Raza, who has gone for 10 plus already in this particular game.
That's a beautiful shot. He's given himself a little bit of room, looking to get that away over extra cover. And it's Ernest Masuku, who's on the deep point boundary, who works his way round to his left, keeps that down to just the 2.
Yeah, just try to overcompensate. They're not entirely getting all of it. Quick single. Wesley Madavere. Oh, he's quick, but not quick enough. Good batting.
You've seen 7 off the first 3 deliveries. And then Vian Luba has essentially said to Lesiba Ngwepe, I'll give you 3 in this over. That's probably straight to the man at long on. Just the 1. can see what Skandaraza is trying to do here now. He's just trying to bowl in a length that limits the amount of damage that the South African batters can do to him, making sure doesn't really bowl short enough for them to get underneath and clear the ropes. Just straight and full. And that's Vian Luba's gotten himself out, looking to go over extra cover, and has hit it straight to Wesley Madewere. And they lose their second wicket. 163 for 3. New batter in is South Africa A captain Heinrich Klaasen. The stage is set. He's really a fantastic striker of a cricket ball. Stage is straight set for him to really go explosive here. See Bangwepe on 73 at the end of the 15th. South Africa A 164 for 2. Another bowling change from the city end. Tanaka Chiwanga is back into the attack. He's bowled the 2 relatively expensive overs. That's a good length to start, but Heinrich Klaasen is looking to make sure he gets down the other end. He's called it as he hit it. And both he and Sibangwepe get in comfortably. That's top edge, and it's going to go really fine. It's a nice idea from Tanaka Chiwanga. It's gone through Wepe. It's gone high and on the gloves.
I don't quite understand Darlington. The field said that Tanaka has got that line is pretty average. Just asking Lesiba, who's been in brilliant form in this match, 77 of just 48 deliveries. Just asking him to get some more runs.
It's basically a free hit, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just saying, well, you can't. Like, what's the lowest risk option that I can actually bowl at you? It's short outside leg stump, and that should be up in the air, but it's going to fall into a gap. And Heinrich Klaassen has done really well to turn two. That's a much better length now, isn't that, Tinashe?
Yeah, in much better line as well, because he's asking Lesiba Ngoepe to try and access that gap deep mid wicket, and it's a much difficult skill when that ball is a little bit pitched up than the previous ball that we saw, which was quite short and quite down on the leg side. And only the fielder at a short fine leg in the field to cover for that mistake.
That's the attempted Yorker. And he's done well as Chiwanga. Just the one from that one. It's a shot for LBW. Might just be going down leg. We see there it was going down leg. Henrik Klaassen has been giving himself a little bit of room. He's looking to play aggressive shots from here on to the end of the game. That's a good bouncer from Chiwanga. That's the end of the 16th over, 172 for 2. Bowling change. Tendai Chatara has been changed ends. He's bowled 2 from the city end. Now he's bowling from the Royal Harare Golf Course end. He's bowled well. It's been the pick of the bowlers for the Zimbabweans. Just the 14 from the 2 he's bowled so far. And immediately you see his length is almost exactly what is required. Really full, really straight. And Lesiba Ngoepe can only hit that to Ryan Burl, who's on the straightish cow boundary.
It's been a feature, really, Darlington, for Tendai Chatara to come in and in pressure moments where a bowler needs to understand exactly what his plan is, where he's expecting the batters to hit him, and be able to actually come and execute that plan. I think we spoke about this one in the last one day, where most of the guys struggled to execute their plans, especially towards the death.
That's Hassan trying to get wide of Skandaraza, who's at long off. See, he's deliberately opened the face of the bat to try and get into that area wide of long off. But again, the key thing here is that Chatara's length has been such that it's very difficult to get a shot wide of long on and long off. The ball is full and hitting the stumps. And that's how you've got to play it. A beautiful shot from Lisiba Ngwepe. Not much of an area in length from Chatara, but Ngwepe has got enough to get underneath. And he's hit it into the side screen.
A little bit of change of pace there, Darlington from Tendai Chatara, and this time around, after praising him so much, misses his length a little bit, and Simangwebe was on it in a flash. That's a beautiful shot. He's played a couple of those shots down the ground. They've signified how much of a good nick he's in.
Also, for me, how good a batting surface this Harare Sports Club wicket is today. I think you've seen that every single time a guy's played a shot, batter has played a shot here, played a positive shot, seems to stay in the middle. You know what I mean? Seems to find the middle. And that's usually about the quality of the wicket. Heinrich Klaassen holds out to Wesley Madivere. Straight as cow. And Zimbabwe get their third wicket. 181 for 3. Tristan Stubbs comes in at the non-striker's end. Webb is still on strike, and he's got a little inside edge. That's off the last ball of the over, and South Africa A moved to 182 for 3. Ernest Masuku coming in from the city end. Found it hard going today. Hasn't really found his correct length today. Been a little bit either side of a good length, and also sometimes a little too straight. Particularly to the right-hander, Reza Hendricks. You've got a couple of big sixes from him. That's another big hit from Lisabe Ngwepe. And he moves into the 90s. With that, 188 for 3, South Africa, right?
That's a real shot of class and authority, Darlington. Straight into the attack, Enes Masuku is greeted with a mammoth 6 over long on. We were speaking earlier, speaking about Chatara and how he has been able to execute his plans whenever he's put into the attack.
So for me, the difference when the Chatara, Wepe hit a 6 in that one, but that was a really, really good quality shot. In that the length was not really full. He had to play a really good shot to get underneath it and hit it for 6. He was forced to hit it straight. Suku's delivery was on a good length, which is not really the thing to bowl, I think, at this phase in the game. And then that's the inside edge, and he's a little unlucky. This is Masuku. He's 10 off the first 2 deliveries that he's bowled. And Sibangwepe is on 99. Just 56 deliveries.
What an innings, Darlington. One away from those 3 figures. And speaking to him a couple of days ago, he was really looking forward to this new role of opening the bat up the order. A couple of question marks about him actually opening the bat. I think he's answered that question emphatically. 1 run away from a big milestone here for him.
And that's the 100 up for Wepe. And Tristan Stubbs has turned it into 2. But the feature of that whole innings, 12 fours and 4 sixes, and 101 of just 57 deliveries, and has led the South Africans to a mammoth total of 194 for 3.
What an innings, Darlington. I'm short for words, actually. I'm so happy for him, the way that he's been so decisive in this particular innings. Started off with 3 boundaries in Wellington Masakat's Osas over, and has grown in confidence and in execution throughout that innings. And that 3 figures is just a reward of how hard he's worked in this inning.
And a key feature is yet to give a chance. That should be doesn't carry to long off. I was just thinking that should be the chance. Just to hit it as well as he's been hitting everything else. So South Africa Rays' next target should be around about 200. Just 5 short. And replacing Tinashe Chimbambo in the commentary box with me is Larry Kurirai. Larry, a really wonderful comment from Sibangwepe. And that is Tristan Stubbs getting off the mark. The first delivery he's faced, and he's picked it up and hit it a long way over car corner. And that's the 200 up for South Africa. It's 201 for 3. And what a way to get off the mark.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Darlington. And I'll tell you what, they've given away very few chances. Yes, 3 wickets have fallen, and a couple of missed hits and some good catching as well. But when they've hit it, stayed hit. And South Africa putting on a very professional performance today. South Africa A, that is. And that's something that South Africa have been very good at doing today. And the end of the 18th over, South Africa A are 202 for 3.
So Chatara will continue from the golf course end. Dennis Masuku has had a day. His bowled is 4 for 65 runs. Chatara's been economical comparatively, just 8 and over.
And that just gives me a chance to talk about the Zimbabwe cricket app, where you can follow all the scores. I'm looking at it right now. The projected score being 224 might just be a little bit conservative, might be just a bit more than that. But if you go to the Zimbabwe cricket app, available on the iStore as Google Play Store, you can follow cricket as it happens in Zimbabwe, bringing cricket right into the palm of your hands. And there is the National Premier League that is being played at the moment. 4 matches being played today.
That's another beautiful shot from Lesiba Ngwepe. Tempted wide Yorker from Chatara, and Ngwepe has just helped it past short third man. Tanaka a chance to stopping it.
I think that's the thing that we've seen a lot from South Africa, the South African batters. There, certainly Reza Hendricks and Ngwepe at the top of the order. If they've not been clearing the boundary, they've been finding the gap.
And that's into that gap between long off, long on, and it's kind of really well to get around and keep that down to just the one. Well worked too from Lesiba Ngwepe and Tristan Stubbs. Ngwepe has made that second one.
I'll tell you what, the status of the match aside, I think a lot of the guys in the Zimbabwe innings, especially if you looked at the first, or Zimbabwe squad is especially looking at the first match, learn a lot from good placement as well as good running, because in spite of the score that is there, Lesiba Ngwepe as well as Tristan Stubbs are running for those twos.
And that is another really good shot from Tristan Stubbs. It's a little full toss outside off stump, and he's hit it over extra cover. He's now 14 off just 5 deliveries. It's a slower ball bouncer to finish off the 19th over. Just the one from it. 215 for 3. Just one over to go. And it's Tanaka Chiwanga. He's going to bowl it. Partnership now, 34. Really impressive, 15 from just 6 deliveries from Tristan Stubbs, who is on strike. You get the impression that if Tanaka Chiwanga misses his leg, Tristan Stubbs is going to be looking to hit it a long way into what's called Josiah Tungogara Avenue.
It's a very impressive partnership because it's just come off 13 balls. If you're sitting in the South Africa management, it's kind of what the doctor ordered. But the question would be, could Zimbabwe have bowled a little bit differently here, or was it just exquisite hitting from the South African batters?
They have played well, and it's a good surface. But I will have to say, in particular, like Tanaka Chiwanga and at times, and Ernest Masuku just didn't quite find the right lengths for this wicket. It's really unforgiving. But the other interesting thing for me, I think if Zimbabwe finds a batter who could knuckle down and bat through this innings when they run, have a pretty good chance chasing 216, because this does look like a very good batting surface.
We definitely need someone to essentially bat out of this skin, because we haven't seen a lot of big hitting from the Zimbabwe side, certainly in this particular series. But Zimbabwe players are not known for big hitting. Sure, they can look to Ranbir. Skandaraza can get 1 or 2 over, but he generally is more known for his placement and running. But the kind of pressure that this puts you right at the beginning is you're going to have to go over 11 and over right from the start.
Just very important that Wesley Madewere, who's going to be up at the top of the order, and Takudzwa Nashekaitano have to get the Zimbabweans a start. They have to create a platform that hitters like Ryan Burr and batters like Sikandar Rav actually push off from. It's so important that those power play overs are used and used well. Good over from Tanaka Chiwanga so far. And what it is he's got a combination of 2 really good things. He's bowled from around the wicket and created an angle away from Tristan Stubbs' hit zones, which is essentially he's looking for it to be bowled at the stumps. And he's backing himself to take it off the stumps and hit it out the ground. And then the second thing that he's done is kept it really wide of off stump. It's been a really good display of bowling, depth bowling from Tanaka Chiwanga here. And then he's missed his length, and Lesiba Ngwepe is not missed out.
Tell you what, he just picked that from just right outside off stump.
Thing about that shot, and he's not missed his length by much. Just suggests really good form. Lesiba Ngwepe in a really good batting surface. So just the one delivery to go. And Lesiba Ngwepe hits it straight to Wellington Masakadza at square leg, and he's dismissed for 114 from 63. And South Africa, right, finished their innings 224 for 3.
Yes, indeed. Very professional performance from South Africa. Of course, Lesibang Wepe at the top there, scoring 114 off just 63 deliveries, I beg your pardon. And also contributing, of course, that opening stand that was worth 142 between him and Riza Hendricks. Riza Hendricks making 77. Tristan Staub with the 17 and Vian Loba with a 10 off.
And then the best of the bowlers today was probably Chindai Chatara, economy of 9.25. And Sikandar Raza, also economy of 9.25 and 1 wicket apiece. And everybody else was really expensive. And it's Masuku, 16 and over. And Tanaka Chiwanga got it back at the end. 1 wicket for 45 runs. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes as the Zimbabwean runs chase. Zimbabwe 11 needs 225 to win from 120 balls. But do you know that
Welcome back to Arara Sports Club. For the second innings of this match, in Zimbabwe are going to need 225 runs to win off just 120 balls to win with their 10 wickets. With me in commentary, Larry Query. Right, Larry.
An exciting performance by the South African batters today, very professional, particularly Lesiba Ngwepe and Rize Hendricks, making big score. Lesiba Ngwepe making 14 and Rize Hendricks 77. Some shots that we ran out of compliments for, starting off Bjorn Fontaine with the bowling.
Batting for Zimbabwe, opening the innings, Takudzwana Shikaitano and Wesley Madewere. Dot ball to start with. Both sides, Larry going with spin first up, and Bjorn Fontaine, unlike Wellington Masakaza, going with a much flatter trajectory and sort of bowling it into the wicket like that. There's a quick single here.
South Africa having done a lot of their homework, packing the offside against, packing the onside against Takudzwana Shikaitano. He loved it. Zimbabwe will need to have a more accelerated start than they did before, and hopefully not lose as many wickets as they did when they started off in the first T20.
Yeah, no hiding place for Zimbabwe today, requiring almost 12 runs and over from the onset. Wesley Madewere gets off the mark with a single, and unlike many other times, Larry, when you are chasing, the run rate sort of creeps up slowly at the beginning of the innings, but when you start off needing 12 runs and over, and there's a catch and it's taken. Lesiba Ngwepe grabs that one neatly. Everything that he has touched today has turned into gold, and Bjorn Fontaine grabs the first breakthrough for South Africa. Takudzwana Shikaitano going for just the one run, in Zimbabwe 11 are 2 for 1.
Craig Irvin, the national team captain, not captaining this side, comes in. Hasn't played much cricket over the last couple of months. Wasn't that involved in the back end of the domestic season, coming on after the worst start that Zimbabwe could have envisioned. Zimbabwe 11. Losing the wicket of Takudzwana Shikaitano at the end of the first over. Zimbabwe 11 are 2 for 1.
Here's Sturman, and that is a beautiful shot, a little bit of width, and Wesley Madewere has lashed onto that one, heaving it over point gets a boundary first up for Zimbabwe.
It's a great shot there from Wesley Madevere. Bogged down just a bit in the first over by Bjorn Fontaine, saying, oh look, if it's out there, I'm going to hit it. And looks like a good surface to play some good cricket, just get the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good wicket to play some shots. South Africa 225 in their 120 balls. This time on the ground, and it's caressed behind point. Bjorn Fontaine, usually very good in that area, can do nothing to stop that one. Bright start from Wesley Madevere.
And that's what he's going to do. Somebody's going to go in and, if not by themselves, negate the effect that was Leslie Bangwepe's 140 and Reza Hendricks 77. Probably one batter and try and get that 77 on their own and get a collection of other batters to take care of the other 114 and then find a put together a couple of runs if you're going to chase this total around. Chase this total down.
Ooh, just a little bit of effort in that one from Gerard Storm and Wesley Madevere. Caught halfway through that shot and trying to turn that away to square leg. Very lucky for him.
He's probably just maybe changed his mind a little bit. Mr. David was expecting maybe another slightly wider delivery. Got two of those. Change in line. Wesley Madevere fixes himself up just a bit. Wesley Madevere just a bit of a charge down there, perhaps trying to impose himself quickly on the batter, maybe negate how much he's got to deal with after the bounce.
Yeah, absolutely, he's making his intentions quite clear there. He's around, and I think that's the way to go here. If you're needing 11 and a half from the onset, you can't sit and be sorry for yourself. So you gotta express yourself a little bit. And I think he's done that well so far.
I don't know about you. Do you feel Craig Irvin's looking a bit undercooked?
Well, obviously, if you've been out of the game for that long, you're going to need a little bit of time, and how they've hoped they've made himself available for the one-day games, a little bit more time to get yourself in there, face a couple of balls, and if you can, just get your basics right again. And that is an absolute jeffer from Clinton Sturman. And after 2 overs, Zimbabwe 11 for 1. Sweep shot. Wesley Madevere not quite getting the execution. Bjorn Fontaine bowling it nice and straight and full. Over extra cover. A shimmy down the ground. Next room. And just getting enough elevation to get it over. Reza Hendricks at extra cover and the boundary for Wesley Madevere.
Yes, might have been heart to mouth for just a moment there, but he's just got enough elevation to make sure that it goes all the way to the boundary. So I was just thinking, of course you've played a lot of cricket and you've been in situations where you're chasing a huge total like this. How do you construct the innings?
It's a very difficult thing. If you actually see 170, 160, and you can have a little bit of time to sort of build an innings and get yourself in. But when you are chasing north of 10 runs and over, and especially in a team that is a little bit limited in terms of big hitters like Zimbabwe, you're going to have to be very tactical in the way you go about it. And in the first 6 overs, you're going to try and make sure you use the power play to effect. Probably look to get just like that over the infield. Gets really inside the line is Craig Evan, and is very good on the sweep. Doesn't have to hit it too hard. All he needed to do is get it over Glenton at fine leg, and he does so with ease. And it's the sort of thing we're talking about, Larry, that in the first 6 overs we're going to have to try and get over that infield and through the infield at times, and make sure that you're getting at least a boundary or 2 each and every over, and probably look to get 60 in that first power play.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that was a problem for Zimbabwe in the match, I'll just keep making reference to the first T20 between the two sides, is the number of dot balls they faced. 67, which is essentially 11.1 overs of dot balls. Can't afford anywhere close to that in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't forget the rotation of strike. I think it's not paramount in chasing down a total than rotating the strike. You want to try and make sure, especially in this particular situation, left-right and left-hand combination. Inside edge, Stricker runs. There was a little bit of pass to work with for Wesley Madere. Not much room for the sweep, but he just manages to tickle down that one to the stretch boundary behind the keeper. Nothing much Harlan Carson can do about that. Fortuitous run for Zimbabwe. 25 for 1 after 3.
Coming in, Lizard Williams, a bowler who's been excellent on this tour.
Doesn't start in that way. Provides lots of width. It was full, it was wide. And national team captain Craig throws the kitchen sink at that one. Manages to get a very healthy edge, which takes the ball over that infield. Much needed boundary. Good start against a bowler who has provided much of Zimbabwe's problems throughout this A-side tour.
Absolutely. And one thing you see about what Craig Irvin has done there is that he's flashed at it really hard. So it means it beats the slip.
And has gone on and pummeled the next delivery down the ground. Didn't try and hit it too hard. What was the most important aspect of that shot? Just presented the full face and fielded mid off it. No chance whatsoever. Back-to-back boundaries here, Larry.
Yeah, so that is one of those shots that if you're one of the camera people, it presents the full face of the bat. You can see the maker of the bat off it.
Disaster.
A bit of confusion there. Wesley Madere slipping. And then an attempted run-out chance with Wesley Madere at no man's land. Doesn't get the hit. And Zimbabwe 11 end up making the run either way.
Comedy of errors, Larry.
Village cricket, maybe?
Yeah.
Not quite.
I think village cricketers will be very angry with that with that analogy. I think it's a little bit more than just village. Wesley Madere was stranded in the middle, and you wonder how he's still out there. what a ball. What a delivery. The sort of deliveries that come to associate Lizard Williams with in this particular tour of South Africa A.
Great indeed. South Africa A obviously making a lot of runs earlier. Zimbabwe currently at 9.27. That's the run rate. The required run rate is still 11.69, which is roughly 2 runs per ball.
Up and over. Chance for Herod. Takes it beautifully. Backpedaling and judging it with perfection. Wesley Madevere, we have to go for just 19 of just 11 deliveries. Zimbabwe 11, 34 rather for 2.
Zimbabwe 11 captain Sikana Raza comes in, joins Zimbabwe cricket captain proper, Craig Irvin.
Edged. Did it carry? Yes, it did carry. Back-to-back wickets for Lizard Williams here. Lucid shot from Craig Irvin. Just manages to tickle that inside edge, and the wicket keeper Henry Klassen takes a beautiful catch behind the stumps. Craig Irvin departs for 14 off just 9 deliveries. 3 boundaries in that, and Zimbabwe are really in trouble here. 34 for 3. Tino Tenda Mtombo, the new man in, he won't be on strike because that was the last delivery of Lizard Williams. Also, he will be on a hat-trick. And this will be a team hat-trick ball if Clinton can manage to inflict more pain to Zimbabwe. On leg side will be a wide. Umpires for today, former first-class international player for Zimbabwe, Forster Mtizwa, and square leg, Langton Musere. Larry, disastrous start from Zimbabwe.
Well, it's not what the doctor ordered. It's certainly not the kind of cricket that Zimbabwe want to play. Again, making reference to how I think Craig Irvin is a bit undercooked. He's not played a lot of cricket. It was easy for him to play, much easier for him to play. Bjorn Fontaine was a little bit slower, but when the ball pace was coming out, and we saw it in the first match, struggled. And Lizard Williams' pace and discipline, of course.
You say so, Larry, but he actually played two perfect shots in that in the beginning of that over. That straight drive down the ground and that shot that he heaved and managed to get an edge over the slips. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think the intensity and shortness of nature in the T20 games is very unforgiving to someone who's going to need to take a little bit of time and get himself in terms of actually coming back to cricket after spending so much time outside the game. But Tottenham Mtombozi was due to be on the plane to Nepal.
And he's captained the Eagles side domestically. I think was meant to be captaining the team that is out in Nepal as well, but didn't quite make it. He's gotten some minutes in terms of cricket in the National Premier League, of course. Round of matches just done today. Some of them startling results in terms of run making and that sort of thing, but of course you can follow all that on the Zimbabwe Cricket app, available, download for free.
And Mtombozi gets off the mark with a very nicely played shot down through mid-wicket. Perfect placing. Is the type of player that is able to just get the scoreboard ticking. And he wasn't necessarily expecting to be in the power play.
Not quite. Shouldn't be in there. Got to say there were not really difficult deliveries that took out the three batters so far. Some of it bad timing in terms of, say, Wesley Madivide. Could have hit that over.
There's a couple of really average decisions. If I have to be really critical, the decision by, especially, didn't look to hit that on the ground. Neither did he look to hit that in the air. And in the end, he was just able to provide a very simple case for Lesiba. Down the ground and edged all the way for 6. Tino Mtombozi throwing the kitchen sink at that one, just seemed to run down. Managed to just get a very thick outside edge that carried the ball all the way over that third-man boundary. 44 for 5 Zimbabwe. Into the 6th over, Lizard Williams was with 2 boundaries in his first over, and then finished with 2 wickets in the over. Continues, and a bit of a change in the commentary. Larry makes way for Darlington Matamba at Darlington. 45 for 3 Zimbabwe after 5.1.
And then for me, the most important thing there is the required run rate is now over 12. Just over 11 when this inning started. And just those 3 wickets, it's gone up quite a long way. From current is 8.6. So a large difference between required and current run rate. Ordinarily, 8.6 would be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, under normal circumstances, if you don't consider the wickets column, 46 for 1 would have been something that Zimbabwe would have been looking at, and they would have spoken about that. A very average delivery from Lizard Williams, just really asking to be hit, and the captain, Sikandar Raza, accepts the gift, 4 more runs, and that brings up the 50 for Zimbabwe. 50 for 3 after 5.3 overs. They have managed to get to that 9 and about 10 mark, Darlington. And you're saying which isn't a bad thing at this stage.
Yeah, just the key thing is just finding a boundary every over, isn't it? And then running well and not getting too far behind. And you're going to need something really special from Sikandar Raza, but more for me in particular is Tinotenda Mtombodzi. Been around the Zimbabwe cricket circles for a long time, been on a few tours, hasn't really set the world alight. And this is just we often speak about it all the time, that it's just only in adversity do those really, really special moments for you to stay as a quality cricketer. They exist in adversity, and this would be one of those moments that if Mtombodzi could figure out how to win the game from this point, because we know that Raza is a good player and he's recognized, but key would be Mtombodzi here, and then leave Ryan Bill just a little bit of work to do at the end to finish off this game. I think Zimbabwe would have to play almost perfect T20 cricket, but I think the stage is set right here. Oh yeah, Mtombodzi on strike. Really telling silence from Tinashe Chimbambo when I was speaking about Mtombodzi. Gets the top edge to end the 6th over, 55 for 3. Gerald Kutsia been brought into the attack. He starts with one drifting into Raza's pads. Partnership 23, and it's come at a good pace. See him got strike rates north of 100. It's 23 of just 13 deliveries.
Tino Mtombodzi, you say, have to take claim of his position in and around this national squad, and he's just heaved one chance for Jason Smith to taken the chance, tried to go over the top and only managed to get lots of elevation, and Jason Smith is not going to drop a chance like that. Zimbabwe in real trouble here. 57 for 4 after 6.2 overs.
Just a single to finish the 7th over. And Skanda Raza moves to 10, and Zimbabwe are 58 for 4. Jason Smith comes into the attack, and Skanda Raza must feel he's missed out. He's probably there to go into the area he was aiming at. I think he's just gone a little too hard at it, lost its shape. I think we could say something similar happened to Tino Mtombodzi. He's gone too hard, trying to go over mid-off from mid-wicket, and too hard at it. And probably Wesley Madawere, something similar. It's just going a little too hard at the balls rather than keeping a shape, making sure that you get contact.
Yeah, absolutely, Darlington. I think it's been a feature really when Zimbabwe 11 batters, especially when they try and look for a boundary. It's usually a very consistent feature of how much they try and hit the ball very hard, instead of sometimes maybe just keeping your shape and making sure that you clear whoever the fielder you want to clear. both instances, Wesley and Tino Mtombodzi, they seem to just go a little bit too hard on those particular deliveries, which were actually not bad shots, but the execution of it, the way they tried to take the leather off the balls and then losing their shape in the process. Both caught in very similar fashion.
Lots of work for Sikandar Raza and Ryan Burl. He's immediately got off the mark as Ryan Burl. He's also known as a very good hitter of a cricket ball. He's hit it a long way. And hopefully we see some of those technical issues that we were just talking about. So he has a really nice, smooth hitting action. This is Ryan Burl.
One thing I really liked about Lesiba's innings was when he tried to hit, especially down the ground, kept his shape for much longer and was able to just sometimes jump at the fielders in the inner ring and take maximum available runs, even if it's 4 for that particular delivery. He wasn't too greedy, and Tino Mtombo just looked a little bit too eager and a little bit like he put too much energy into that shot that ended up disturbing the shape of it, and he could only skying it.
It's a partnership just 5, and then this becomes the most important partnership for Zimbabwe in this match, because this is the one, if Zimbabwe is going to have any chance of success here, this is the one that's going to create that success. Run rate now is 13.5 required, and at the end of the 8th, 62 for 4. Sound off the bat as Ryan Burl works that down to long on. Please just describe what 13 runs and over looks like. How would you go about scoring 14 runs in an over?
That's a difficult one, Darlington. And I think we already spoke about the only available option for Zimbabwe earlier on in terms of trying to chase this score down. Oof.
It's very good running from Sikandar Raza. He saw that there would be the throw to run him out at the bowler's end. He'd missed the stumps and there'd be no backup. And he called quickly. He was in safely.
Yeah, they will have to do a lot of that, rotating strike and pitching a run or 2 there. But ultimately, Zimbabwe will need to find a boundary or 2 and over here. If they can get 2 boundaries early on in the over and make sure that they consolidate the sharp chance for the first bowler. It's the hard length that Kotsia is bowling. Just gets you over committing to that front foot, and then you possess that very lethal bouncer that we have seen in this series.
And the other thing I think is you've got to try and find an over that brings this run rate down a little bit, and find maybe 2 6s and 2 4s in 1 over, get 2 in over. Usually brings the run rate required down quite quickly, and then you can just play fairly normal cricket for a period. And then you've got to find another 20 run over somewhere, probably around a little bit later on in the game. So again, you can play normal cricket, but I think somehow you've got to try and manufacture your chances here for a win.
Absolutely. The only problem in this particular innings, Ellington chasing 220, a couple of 20 over, 20 run overs here, not just the usual one or two you need when you're chasing, say, 160, 170. And we saw how consistently South Africa got 15, 18 run overs in their innings. And in and amongst those big overs, there was some very modest overs of about 8, 9, which makes it very, very to find those 20 run overs. Just wide, or is it a no ball? Umpire Langton will set it at square leg. Sees nothing wrong with that delivery, and the captain Sikandar Rasa is not happy at all. End of the over, 67-4 after 9.
Tremendous shot from Ryan Burl. A bit slower, but a long way outside off. And he's done well to get it away.
Absolute cracker of a shot. First boundary for Ryan Bell here. And just manages to pick out the small gap between extra cover and long off. He's going to need to do lots of those.
That's a mow towards long. Not in the right place for a really emphatic shot in that area. Right, wide, and the length's probably a little too good. Quick single called by Ryan Burl. Gets in safely. And Ryan Burl has gotten hold of that one. And that is in the parking lot. That's probably cleared the Harare Sports Club building. And Jason Smith is going to need a new ball.
What a shot from Ryan Bell, Darlington. Stand and deliver. Big feature of that shot and its success is the staticness of Ryan Bell's feet. It was so still at the point of contact, and that has been the problem for a few of other batters.
Yeah, well, powerful struck pull shot. It's just going to be the one. You get the impression that if that had been either side, it would have been a few meters either way. It would have been another boundary to Ryan Bill. "13 off the over, just the one delivery to go. A good one for the Zimbabweans. Raza just gets the single to close off the 10th over. And Zimbabwe 11 are 81 for 4. Partnership 24 between Sikandar Raza and Ryan Bill, dominated by Ryan Bill, 16 of just 8 balls. New partnership. Commentary box. So Harry Kurirai and myself, Dolexi Matambanadzo. Harry, 160 to win. 140 to win. Basically what the Zimbabweans need. So now around about 16 runs and over.
Yeah, Ryan Bill with a bit of power hitting. I need to do a lot more of that. He's known for that. Maybe not as consistently as he would like to do it, especially in national colours, but he certainly has the pedigree of one who can hit the ball long and hard. He's currently got 1-4 and 1-6, and it's certainly in a period in which there's no time to have a look, is it? It's got to get going, because it's about 15 and over right now, and if you're looking at 15, and we're looking at close to three runs per ball.
And that's a beautiful shot from Sikandar Raza. He's got the short ball and he's picked it beautifully. And he's hit it past over the embankment in the eastern side of the ground. Really beautiful batting surface this is starting to look like.
Absolutely. And as I said with Tanashi a little bit earlier, was to say that the wickets that have fallen had nothing, very little surface itself. It's just not clever shot making. And if you look at the batting that Sikandar Raza has exhibited so far in this match, is what we saw a lot of from the South African players, who punished anything that was a length in which it needed to be hit. You just have to get both the timing right and choose the right shot. And Sikandar Raza certainly chose the right shot there. Sikandar Raza flashing at that one. Rethinking of cutting, but not sure which side he was trying to play. Maybe play down to third man. Does a couple of fresh air shots after that. One of those things that you do when you... is it because you're thinking of the shot multiple times?
It's called shadow batting. And all you do is you just want to remind yourself of the proper shape shot should have been played. And then another pull shot from Sikandar Raza. And he's annoyed with himself because there was quite a lot of width on that. And if he'd stayed side on, he probably could have gotten that over point.
Certainly that.
So 9 off the over so far. And again, just a one delivery. Really interesting for me is to see that pull shot that Raza played was off the top draw. And then Ryan Bill plays an attempted beauty. Makes his way quite a long way outside off to try and get it fine. Man back on the boundary, so just a one from it. At the end of 11, 91 for 4.
Bjorn Fontaine coming on now, conceded 16 of his first overs. In the context of the game, pretty good, especially since Zimbabwe chasing around 12 right from the start, or close to 12.
And also important was the one wicket he took, knocked over Takuzwa Nashikaitano early in the innings, without him having really got many on the board. Very important in creating the pressure. As now sees Zimbabwe at 11 at 92 for 4. We saw Skandar Raz play really well in the 50 overs competition. And immediately he's come down the track at him. Bjorn Fontaine has seen him coming, thrown it wide, and Raz has done well to get that away square on the offside.
And for a man who's at 36 years of age, Sikandar Raz is a busy player, isn't he? Very fit, gets around quite a bit.
Ryan Pearl has found that gap. He's been eyeing that gap wide of long on. And he's smashed it one through there. It's a really good quality cricket shot.
Yeah, exquisite shot right there. The kind of shot that you want to see go out, you want to see if you're a Zimbabwe fan. Certainly, Ryan Burl, one of those that Zimbabwe at international level proper rely on to get the runs going a bit. 134 needed, or rather, target just on under 130, 127 needed. 128. What's my maths going? What it needed in just 8.5 overs.
Seen the South Africans reinforce that area where Ryan Burl has just hit that last boundary, moving Tristan Stubbs into that area. Something we see a lot in T20 cricket, where you end up with 3 fielders in the gap between cow corner and one. And Raza has hit that a long way. Short from Bjorn Fontaine, but he still had to put it away, and he's done in style. Zimbabwe across 100. And partnership is now 47. It's come really quickly. 47 of just 32. A little bit of gamesmanship from Bjorn Fontaine, just making sure Ryan Burl isn't leaving his crease early at the non-striker's end. That's the single to finish off. And over, the Zimbabweans have scored 13 from 105 for 4. Jason Smith from the city end, and Raza immediately goes after him. And again, he's gotten another one into the area behind the mound at Harare Sports Club.
Tell you what,
This has potential to be a very big over. Normally, when you get a boundary off the first delivery of an over, you've got to back yourself to get a couple more. Try and get this turn this into the 20 or plus run over that Tinashe Chimbambo was speaking about earlier.
certainly one of those that you want to take over. I guess you're supposed to target usually say target one over, but they'll have to get a couple of those overs going, or if they're to chase us down.
And then again, Sikandar Raza has gotten Jason Smith, but this time a much better cricket shot, straight over long on.
That's an absolutely brutal shot right there from Sikandar Raza. Seen enough of the ball. Sunday's 108 or 46 required. Still quite a lot of work to close to the 14 required per over, and the partnership moves quickly to 60 off just 35 balls.
And a very important over. If he can ensure that Jason Smith, as long as he misses his length, he's made to disappear. This could be a very vital over for the Zimbabwean run chase. Because we saw relatively inexperienced Masuku was targeted by the South African batters this earlier in the day. And Jason Smith might be the one that the Zimbabweans should go after. And then again, that's the third one. And this one is the biggest of the three. And that brings up his 50 from just 30 deliveries, Sikandar Raza.
Certainly a captain's knock there from Sikandar Raza so far. Heaves that over. And the hands who are in the corner there, in power corner, are absolutely ecstatic. That's the kind of batting they've been looking to see from the Zimbabwe batters.
Now, it's just as long as it's length, you've got to make sure you hit it out the ground, Skanda. And now he's hit it again.
That's another 6. 4 sixes in a row. 6, 6, 6 from Sikandar Raza.
Really smashing over from Sikandar Raza. Jason Smith suddenly is none for 42 with 2 balls to go still in his third over. And that is a great comeback. Got it into the right area. Very difficult area to hit a 6.
I don't know. Question becomes: you've gotten 24 off this over, and the required rate is 13.4. Would it been on his mind to try and get one over again, or you're thinking, okay, I'm seeing it right now. Let me let it go, because the other deliveries he did manufacture some of those 6s himself.
I wouldn't say he manufactured them. I think it was the length Jason Smith bowled that allowed him to get underneath it, and that is a tremendous cricket shot to end the 13th over. He's gone inside out to get it wide of long on, long off, and 28 off the over, and Zimbabwe 11, 133 for 4.
Certainly the Zimbabwe 11 cricket audience, supporters, excited now. Suddenly vocal, been quiet for a lot of this game. Last over supplied of the willer of Sikandar Raza, and coming in Gerard Katsir.
Interesting bowling change this. We saw him get hit one for one big six by Sikandar Raza from the other end. And then Jason Smith that he bowled before. Jason Smith bowled from the city end. And now he's been brought in from the golf course end. It's just his last over. And I think Heinrich Klaasen's reasoning here is Coetzee has been his chief wicket taker. Particularly in the 50 overs version of this tour. He's going to try and hopefully break this partnership. I think this is very proactive from Heinrich Klaasen. And there it is. There's the opportunity. It's going to be taken, or is it gone all the way? It was the top edge from Ryan Bell. For a moment, it looked like he didn't have the legs to get all the way to the boundary.
Tell you what, when you flash at them hard, they go for days, and what's happened right there. I think both batters quite fancy the fans in that corner, giving them some cheer, get the ball towards them. Of course, if you want to be part of this, if you're close to Harare Sports Club, a couple of overs to go, about 6.5 overs to go. Rush here, there's some great cricket being played. This partnership is now 82 off just 40 balls. We said earlier that Zimbabwe struggled in not having enough big hitters. Sikandar Raza and Ryan Burler say, hey Larry, we heard you. Let's show you a bit. Still quite a lot of work for Zimbabwe to do. Still, South Africa still firm favourites to win this particular match. But Zimbabwe 11 certainly giving it a go, aren't they?
It's been a really good bit of play. Last sort of 3 overs have been all Zimbabwe 11. But Gerard Coetzee obviously want to change that. And that's a nice change of pace. First one, that was the quicker delivery. He got hit for 6. As soon as he's taking the pace off, it's just the dot ball. And Zimbabwe 11 require 86 from 40 balls, which translates to a run rate of about 13. That's the wide call. Again, you can see what Gerard Coetzee's ideas plan is there. He's trying to bowl that wide Yorker. Try and take away the leg side hit, the hit over long on, which is Brian Bill's strongest area. And we saw the Zimbabweans use that ploy against Andile Pehlukwayo, who hits into the same areas as Ryan Bill, being also a left-handed batter. And it worked well when the Zimbabweans did it to Andile Pehlukwayo. And that is probably the wicket-taking delivery. And that's a very good catch. And that's Lazard Williams finishes it off. And Gerard Coetzee has done what he's been brought for. Broken the partnership of 83 between Ryan Bill and Sikandar Raza, and Bill departs for 30 of 16, and Zimbabwe 11 are 140 for 5. New batsman in is Richmond Mtumbami. A lot of work to do.
Tell you what, he's a man who'll be glad to still be involved in this particular series after getting hit with the ball a couple of times on the helmet.
Three deliveries to go in this over. 1-6 from it. And the wicket of Ryan Bill, which is probably more important than the 6. And that's a wide down leg.
That gives me the opportunity to tell you that there are 3 more matches left in this series, sat back to back on Saturday and Sunday, as well as Tuesday. All T20 festival of taking place here. Not quite as big a crowd as we had on Sunday, probably on Monday rather, because it was a public holiday, but still fans out here to watch a game of cricket. Cricket, probably the second most popular sport in Zimbabwe after football.
I think we should see a slightly bigger crowd for the 2 weekend games. Please do come to Rory Sports Club. Games start at 1 o'clock on Saturday and on Sunday. And that's a beautiful shot from Richmond Mtumbami. What a way to get off the mark. He's worked it just behind backward point. Boundary to get off the mark.
I'll tell you what, it's one of those shots that you want to see over and over again. It's just too far from either fielder. It just rolls all the way to the boundary.
A bouncer to end the 14th over, 146 for 5. Glenton Storman from the city end got that very important wicket of Wesley Madewere early in the Zimbabwean run chase. Sorry, caught Wesley Madewere. It was actually Lazard William did the bowling. He's none for 19 of his 2. Nice slow ball to start off. Just doesn't really allow Raza to time that.
And also because of how slow it is, not much bounce, and so you can't get under it. And tried to get one of his 6s. It's kind of with 6 6s and two 4s in this particular 62 of 35. Required run rate at 13.37. Because if you're Zimbabwe, you want to try and get as close as possible by the 18th over. And
I think that, yeah, you've got to try and find another 20 plus run over soon. And it's got to come off one of the remaining bowlers. So we know that Bjorn for 10 still got some overs. Clinton Stuurman still got some overs. And then we also know Lazard Williams has still got some overs. So one of those bowlers has to go for 20 before the last two sort of 2 overs are bowled. And you've just got to find 10 or 12 from everything else, from every other over. And that's another beautiful shot from Skandar Raza. Didn't quite middle it, but he had gotten it into the gap, so they come back easily for the...
Certainly would have been hoping for more there as the 150 comes up for Zimbabwe. At the 14.3 over mark, 150 for 5. Zimbabwe 11, that is.
So what we've seen from Stuurman is to Skandar Raza, he's just been taking the pace off the ball. Seen 2 slower balls. And the one that Richmond Mtumbami faced was the only one that was bowled at anything but full pace. And again, we see that slower ball. And this time he gets it into the block hole.
Tell you what, if you're a kid sitting at home, it's a masterclass on bowling, especially after on the same end, Jason Smith went for 28 runs. Really brought South Africa into a position where they really should be, but much firmer.
Again, a slower ball from Glenton Stuurman. Really good quality. Pre-death bowling, I suppose you'd call it. Just keeping it really wide outside of the off stump. Taking away that offside, or that onside from Skandar Raza. And then just not giving him the pace to hit anywhere else on the ground. Just... That's the first mistake he's made, and he's been made to pay for it. So the 10 from the 15th and Zimbabwe 11 are 156 for 5. Reza Hendricks comes into the attack from the golf course end. Richmond Mtumbami is on strike. And one gets the feeling that if Zimbabwe is to find a 20 or plus run over, it's going to be, it has to be from this man. This is the man they've got to target. He's actually a really smart cricketer and a good bowler. It's not really going to be easy. So we can see just him bowling around the wicket. He's going to be looking to get it full and into that leg stump. And he's mid-length, and Richmond Mtumbami has let him get away with that one. Just the 2. There was length on that. And should have been put away. Should have been hit to the boundary. Just the one again from the second Delivery from Reza Hendricks. It's in a better line and length. Sikandar Raza is 70 of 39. I think it was you and Tinashe were talking about how somebody had to undo the work that Reza Hendricks and Nguepe did for the South African A batting line. That's a beautiful shot from Sikandar Raza. He's found that gap. Wide of long on, but over all the way to the boundary for 6. And I think Sikandar Raza is the one who is going to undo some of the work that the South African batters did at the top of the innings.
Absolutely, and I guess some of that comes from the experience he's been getting from playing in the T20 leagues across the world. Like taking control of the match, taking responsibility, especially in seemingly impossible positions.
And that's another really big 6. This one is into the squash courts. It has gone out of the ground. Reza Hendricks over is going to be expensive. Already 13 from it. There's still 2 balls to go. Partnership is now 31.
I'll tell you that if they judge that on distance, it's probably a 12. 15 runs off that over so far. The partnership has raced to 31 off 13 and required is 54 of 26. You know what? When you get into this sort of position, you start dreaming a bit.
So anyway, if you just look at Sikandar Raza's strike rate, it's 82 of 41, 54 of 26. It's almost exactly what Sikandar Raza's been striking at. And you get the feeling that if he manages to bat to the end of this match, he can possibly go Zimbabwe 11's way. And that's the wicket. Reza Hendricks has got the massive wicket of Sikandar Raza. And he's bowled, played on for 82 or 42. And Zimbabwe 11 are 171 for 6. It's a really important wicket taken by Reza Hendricks. Sikandar Raza has gone for 81 or 42. And now it's up to Wellington Masakadza and Richmond Mtumbami to find 54 of 25 that are required from here on. And Masakadza immediately off the mark. And that's the end of the 16th. And Zimbabwe 11 172 for 6. Bjorn Fortuin is coming on to bowl his final over in this match. Reese Hendricks has done very well from the other end. And that's probably pitched outside the leg stump. Very difficult for a left-handed bowler to get an LBW. Bowling around the wicket at a left-hander. That's just the one from Wellington Masakadza. Brings Richmond Mtumbami on strike.
Zimbabwe 11 suffering from what happened in the first match, where they failed to get any runs going up at the top of the... Yes, today there was a bit of hitting from certainly Sikandar Raza and Ryan Bell, but again, that's where, ever since the retirement of Hamilton Masakadza, they've struggled imposing themselves right at the top of the order.
And that's a good shot from Richmond Mtumbami. He's underway. He's got that in the slot. He's put it away. So 5 from the first 3. And you get the impression distinctly that the Zimbabweans need 3 boundaries from the last 3 balls of this over. And I think the right man is on strike. Richmond Mtumbami has been there just a little bit longer than Masakadza. And that's an outside edge. And it's carried to Gerald Kutsia, short third man, who has it.
Looks like the umpires are having
looks
a bit
like
of a conference. See what the umpires are saying. It's carried. And they've given that out. Richmond Mtumbami has to go. Certainly South African.
And that's the Zimbabwe, the 7th wicket to fall for the Zimbabwean 11, 177 for 7. Ernest Masoko didn't get much bad on that.
Caught the eye with a couple of, well, it was just 1-6 that really caught the eye. That's Ernest Masoko. Not quite known for his batting and for his bowling.
That's a great delivery from Bjorn Fortuin to finish the 17th, 178 for 7. We have a bowling change, and that's Lazard Williams bowling from the northern end of the ground, bowling his 3rd over. He's 2 for 20 at the moment. bowled brilliantly up front, took important wickets. And he's here to just try and finish this off. And that's a really good shot from Ernest Masuku. Run down the track to Lazard Williams, got one around about chest height and got it over backward point.
Tell you what, this young man won't die wondering, will he?
He's got something about him, has Ernest Masuku. We saw him hit a really big six off Kutsia in the first T20. And everything about his body language says, I'm going to go and give this one a full go.
Cramped back in by that one. Didn't use his feet. Got a lot more done with the first one because he moved his feet. Sitting back, very still. Difficult to do anything with that kind of delivery.
That's off the outside edge.
Which should be encouraging for, I think, certainly for fans of Zimbabwe cricket or even the team itself, is that even as Zimbabwe's fortunes do not look great, the crowd that's come out sticks around to watch the whole match.
Really good delivery from Lazard Williams. And has a shy at the non-striker's end. Misses. Masakadza gets home safely.
One more ball to go in that over. 7 runs. In the context of the game, a very good over at the moment. And Lazard Williams, a more expensive than usual. Just 20 runs off his 2.5 overs.
What was important is the 2 wickets he took earlier in this game. Very, very important. Didn't let Zimbabwe get the start that they required to win this. And that is a cracking shot from Masakadza to finish the 18th over. 11 from that 18th over, and Zimbabwe 11, 189 for 7.
Joining me now is Tinashe Shibambo. With 2 overs to go. Just Hofei was saying stranger things have happened in cricket.
Absolutely, Larry. I'm not by any means saying that there's hope in Zimbabwe in this position, and I'm not saying that there is no hope in any case, but you know, couple of wickets in hand here, you could really go mad and try and find the 20 run over, and make sure when you go to the last over you need something less than 15, and then you've got a real chance, and it just depends on who actually holds their nerve better in that last over. But 36 of 12 deliveries with an all-rounder and a real tail-ender batting, it becomes really difficult. I think Zimbabwe will look at this first two games and think about how much of an opportunity they have lost in trying to register something in this particular T20 series. Ernest Masuku is always keen to fancy himself as a, but obviously his skills are not quite at the level that are needed at this level. But just 7 wickets down, needing north of 12 runs and over, you always most likely going to find yourself on the other side of that result. Top edge, and there's a chance taken. Wellington Masakadza will have to walk back. Scored 9 of just 8 deliveries. And Stillman just clever. He's rolling his fingers across that one. Push that gap. Push that ball into that mid-wicket gap, and just succeeds in getting a leading edge, and is taken by Bjorn Fontaine. Zimbabwe 11, 192 for 7. In the air, who was it? Kazondo drops it. Ernest Masuku will live to fight another day. It was high up in the air with the cloud cover, just providing sort of camouflage. It makes it a high catch very difficult. So much experience in Kazondo's hands, but in this time around, he grasses it. One of the basics, really, having been a wicket keeper for quite a long time. My coach would be very angry if I'm a wicket keeper and that catch has been grasped. He's thinking anything in the circle, I should be calling for that one. After 19 overs, 6 more balls to go, 195 for 8, Zimbabwe 11.
So into the final over was Zimbabwe 195 for 8, with just 6 balls to go. Target is now 30. Safe to say it is beyond them now, but I suppose the Zimbabwe fans who have been following this will be emboldened by the fact that they backed it this far, this deep, and got so many runs, but conceding 225 was always going to be difficult.
Full straight. This been bought out is Ernest Masuku. Lizard Williams comes back with much more clearer plans, and knowing the tail enders goes full and straight and succeeds in disturbing the middle stump. Zimbabwe 11, 195 for 9. Tanaka Chivanga box in 195 for 9. There's 5 deliveries left and a whole lot of runs required for Zimbabwe here to try and level this series. Seems very much beyond them right now. Slashed away, thick outside edge and runs away past point. Bjorn Fontaine can only collect it off the boards. 4 more runs to Zimbabwe. Takes them to 199 for 9. And the Zimbabwe fans are quite excited about the prospect of getting past that 200 run milestone. Even though it will be 25 runs short, Larry, 199 mentally gets you going in the changing room, doesn't it?
Totally does. Ken mentioned earlier that Zimbabwe's biggest problem as Zimbabwe gets to 200, now 200 for 9 from their 90 overs. Psychologically, if you get to 200, you should be thinking we're there or thereabouts, but up at the top of the order, they just didn't make the runs required.
So our statistician here in the commentary box quite excited by the idea that Zimbabwe needs 50 runs and over. That's a good connection from Chivanga, or Chatara rather. Very good fielding from Clinton, throwing himself onto that one, making sure that there isn't more damage. 2 more balls to go, and Zimbabwean fans are ecstatic, really. Usually, if you are able to get to 200 under normal circumstances, you should be fighting for that game, but not today. South Africa were very good with a bat, especially Lesiba Ngoepe getting his maiden turn at this level. Full toss. Vanga likes to, I've enjoyed this about the Zimbabwean tail. Well, obviously, the tail that gets more chances than many other tails to get out there and bat when there's time. But the excitement and the keenness to actually try and do something when they get a chance. Look at how Ernest Masuku was batting, got a couple of boundaries. Without judging him much, he actually looks like a decent batter. Oof. Wide out volley, and that brings up the result for South Africa. After 20 overs, Zimbabwe could only manage 202 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. And earlier on, South Africa winning the toss and choosing to bat first. Lesiba Ngoepe at the top of the order, 114 majestic of just 63 deliveries, 6 sixes in that innings. 13 balls was brilliant, and Reza Hendricks supported him very well with 77 runs of 35 deliveries, 6 sixes, 4 sixes rather. Vian Loeb, with so much expectation, only managed to get 10 of just 8 deliveries. Henry Klassen, the captain, didn't do much with 3. Tristan Stubbs, continuing from his form in the first game, 17 not out of just 9 deliveries.
An 83-run partnership is what we had to talk about in terms of the Zimbabwe innings, going out for 202, scoring 202 for 9. Sikandar Raza with 82 of 42, which had 9 sixes and 2 fours. And Ryan Burr with 30 of 16, which had 2 fours and 2 sixes. Willis David at the top there with 19 of 11, had 4 fours in that. Looking at the bowling, Lazard Williams, impressive again with 3 for 38. Bjorn Fontaine for 26. 2 for 31 was Gerard Coetzee. And as it stands, as the result will have us, is that South Africa have won this match by 22 runs and lead the series 2-0. We're back again Saturday, Sunday and Tuesday for the rest of the series, and you can catch it on this YouTube channel. Otherwise, also catch it on the Zimbabwe Cricket app. Take care of yourself, and thank you very much for watching.